What is good, NIO family? It's Rey-Jay back with another video. And in this one, I want to break down what's going on with NIO stock and why NIO is going to see a monstrous run most likely for the end of the year, in my opinion. I'm going to still break down what I've said in the past and why I still believe it's very probable. I'm going to break down what seasonality suggested for the markets and why it's been so accurate so far, and why I still believe NIO is going to see some upside very soon. Now, a lot of people are very bearish. They're saying the market's about to crash and this and that. I personally disagree. I think the downside is very limited. I think that because everyone is suspecting a massive crash that's about to start, the exact opposite is going to happen to full investors, and also because it's an election year and you know what tends to happen. So before I break anything down about why on earth that is, before I talk about what on earth is going on with seasonality and factors like that, let me just mention a couple of things. I am firstly not a financial planner, so take nothing I say as financial advice. And also, if you guys can, please check out the Webull link, which is down below and in the description. If you sign up for Webull, the link down below, and deposit any amount of money into the account, you are guaranteed up to 12 free stocks. This offer ends in just about 11 days from now, so check it out before they run out. Anyways, let's break down what's going on with the markets. So, why on earth am I talking about a monstrous run for the end of the year? What indicators that what indicator of that is basically showing? And like I said in the past, guys, Neo, yes, Neo SPY, the market could start sinking. It could have a little bit more downside coming, sure. But I'm telling you, the downside is likely going to be limited. Neo has a large bullish divergence developing, and I believe that a big run is coming. And check this out. When did Neo start selling off? I want to remind you all about this. Neo started selling off around that August period, and in August, when Neo had the strong deliveries, this thing has been downtrending since. What else has been downtrending? What started downtrending in the same month of August? Well, you can see it right here. Right before we hit August, SPY hits 457, almost 460, and it's been downtrending as soon as we started August. Like right here, around August, that's when the downtrending started. September, October, all right? Neo did the same thing. What happened approaching August? From June to August, what happened during that period? Neo pumped, SPY was pumping, right? QQQ was pumping, the market was moving together. Look at June through July for the QQQ. QQQ was holding up. It actually retested its top during the very beginning of August, forming a double top like pattern, and then it's been downtrending since August started. So I'm trying to tell you this market is moving on an algorithm. They're moving very similarly, these different stocks. Okay? Looking at seasonality, I've been saying that the stock market is going to bottom in October. I also told you all that another sell-off is coming. I said this last week. I said this 2 weeks ago. I also have been telling you all that Neo had some downside. I know people have misinterpreted my words, saying that I've been like so bullish on Neo. No, I've been saying that there's going to be a downtrend for Neo, but there's going to be a big bounce coming for November/December most likely. And I believe that the bounce is coming soon. I really believe it. Now, look at this on a seasonality basis. On a seasonality perspective, what tends to happen is the market does well during these seasonality election years, right? During election years, what tends to happen is what happened this year was the market was recovering from the amount of downside we had. So it was very bullish for many, many months. Okay. From basically March to basically like July, the market was just pumping like crazy, almost nonstop, right? The market was pumping and pumping and pumping. So we were pumping the whole time. So when did this pattern come into play? Well, I would say it kind of came into play starting in this July period because that's when the market was uptrending and uptrending. As soon as August comes, that's when the market tends to slow down historically during election years. And that's what happened this year. September, downside for the markets tends to happen. That's what happens during election years typically, and that's what happened this year. October, same thing. And notice how October is when the market tends to bottom. The market made its bottom relative to the last 4 months, in October of this year. So it's following this very nicely. And I believe we are going to be set for a monster run to throw so many people off, to absolutely destroy shorts. Okay. Wall Street gave shorts a victory. They let you guys who are shorting SPY in this entire market get a victory. We were due for some downside to pull back historically and based off seasonality during election years. So, yes, the market was due to slow down. We've been talking about this. Another thing I've been saying on this channel is that NIO, when you look at the daily chart, we had this large head and shoulders. We got confirmation of it. We've been calling for downside. And I've said NIO could be approaching $7. It's been downtrending. It's getting very close to its target. And in the process of it dropping over the last couple of weeks, a large bullish divergence has been developing, meaning it's going to get a big bounce very soon. Now, we have to see what happens with deliveries coming out in the very beginning of November. We will see if this helps NIO bounce. But my gut is telling me, okay, notice how we have this gap up here in this $10 area. NIO is going to get a big bounce when people least expect it. Okay, and this is the same cycle that's been happening over and over again. People were saying the stock market was going to crash. Remember back in 2022 and all these different things. Yes, the stock market could have corrections, but once everyone turns super, super bearish, that's when they're going to throw people off. I'm telling you right now. The market is super fearful. Everyone is saying there's a crash coming. The crash is here. We're about to tank super hard. I disagree. I don't think the crash is coming. I think we're going to pump and it's going to throw so many people off. So many people are going to be expecting something completely different. Don't forget, seasonality. I've been showing you guys this. NIO was dropping with SPY. They were pumped together and they dropped together. Okay? This is NIO next to SPY. You guys can see the charts here. This white one is NIO. The blue one right here is SPY. So they came down together. They pumped together, came down a bit, pumped together, came down together, and soon we're going to see something very different. I think the same thing is going to happen to the QQQ. NIO was actually a little bit weaker than the QQQ during the May period because NIO had some very weak deliveries, but it began to catch up with the trend and they both started pumping together. Notice how they also started to downtrend near the same time. So, yes, deliveries will play a big role. I'm optimistic NIO will do well for deliveries, and there's still a bounce coming for it. I'm still very, very, confident in this stock for the long term. Now, as far as NIO goes, I just wanted to mention that on the daily chart, we have a bullish divergence that's developing, and we have this big gap that needs to be filled in this $10 area. I believe that NIO has earnings coming out very soon. Earnings may not be the biggest factor, but I think that deliveries and the overall seasonality will help drag this thing up. It could drop down to $7, but a big run towards this gap fill up here towards this $10 area is going to be coming. I also think that there are gaps up here, the 13s. There's also a gap up here around this 14.7 area. I think it's going to be filling those gaps this year. And I think that there's going to be a big bull run that's going to drag the entire stock market up. I think that so many people are going to be completely caught off guard because people are turning super bearish right now. They're expecting a big crash. And that's why you have to be very careful. The crowd tends to be wrong. When the crowd is saying a crash is coming, that's when you have to become greedy, right? When others are fearful, that's when you become greedy. The market is near extreme fear right now. Let me just close that. We're near extreme fear. People are very, very scared. So, why on earth would we follow the trend and start shorting the market down here? It doesn't make sense. Could the market drop a bit more? Yes, it can. But I believe there's going to be much more upside coming. I think that the bulls are going to have an edge. So, that's my view of the market, guys. I think a bullish divergence is going to be established. And we're going to see the market start pushing to much higher levels as time goes on. So for NIO, what else can I tell you? When you look at SPY, I've been saying this before, there's a cup and handle developing on the SPY monthly. Notice how the market was already down quite a bit for the month of October, right? And if anything, the downside for October is actually a lot less than what we saw in September. The market is getting ready to base, okay? Could it drop a bit more? We could see 418 on SPY. We could see it, 417 to 418. But don't worry, don't become too fearful, and do not become scared. Okay? This cup and handle is still valid. There's nothing that's invalidating this just yet. And I believe it's going to play out. I believe to end the year, what's going to happen is we're forming a giant cup and handle. I believe the bulls will step in and they're going to start pumping the markets when nobody's expecting it. It's going to throw so many people off. Because remember, it is an election year. That's what tends to happen during these election years. Very strong end to the year. If the market crashes for 2023 before someone is running for presidents, before a particular party is running, It's not going to be looking good on their end because millions of people use the stock market and their 401ks and their investments as a measure of how the economy is doing. Now, is that true? The answer is no. I mean, the stock market could always pump even when the economy is in a bad place. We saw this happen in 2020. And the stock market could also tank even if the economy is decent. So I'm just trying to tell you the stock market does not represent the economy. And for that reason, even if the economy is weakening, the stock market could still make these big runs because of manipulation and many different factors. So I'm still keeping my same thesis, guys, that yes, we're bearish for October. Yes, we could drop a little bit more, but the downside is limited and the upside is going to be much bigger for November/December. For SPY, I could see this thing getting very close to these highs so long as no like horrendous pieces of news come out. For the QQQ, I think the same thing could happen. We could be forming a large cup and handle like formation. We're going to see some major upside for November/December. I believe that the market's going to see buyers stepping in. We're going to see an uptrend. And I think that the same thing's going to be happening to Nvidia and many different tickers. And I believe that this is going to help NIO bounce as well. If you look at the monthly on NIO, this thing has been oversold for quite some time. It's due for some sort of change. The daily is also showing a bullish divergence. Okay, a bounce is coming over the next couple of weeks, next 2 months. You're gonna come back to this video in 2 months. Okay, near the very end of 2023, and I believe NIO is going to be worth way more than what it's worth right now. I believe NIO is going to see a monster run, and I still believe that my thesis has not changed. No matter what anyone tries to say, I'm gonna keep my word, and that is there could be some downside for the short term for next week, yes, but I believe the market is in a bottoming process. And I think there's going to be some major upside for November and December because everyone is expecting a crash. Everyone's expecting NIO to crash down to like $5. Everyone's expecting SPY to crash, Tesla to crash much harder. Could Tesla drop more? Yes, Tesla could also drop a bit more. Yes, it can. But what people are not expecting would be a very, very big bounce that's going to like completely shift the view of this market. I don't think Tesla's coming all the way down to like $100. That's like a really good steal. I think institutions are going to start buying this thing up soon. I think Tesla's going to make a big comeback over the next couple of months. Okay, so could Tesla drop lower? Yes, we could get closer to 200. It is possible, but we first have to break this key support at 210. And it is possible for Tesla to drop lower, yes, for the short term, but for November/December, as we get closer to the Cybertruck unveiling, I believe we're going to see Tesla bounce very, very nicely. Tesla has a Cybertruck launch event coming out near the end of November, and I still believe that the bulls are just in a hibernation. Not hibernation, but they're like basically taking a break, and they're going to be back when nobody expects it. That's what I think is going to happen. And just wait and see, guys. Just give it 2 months, and you're going to come back to this video and think you're going to be amazed, in my opinion. So that's my opinion. That's my view. I'm leaning more in that direction considering it's an election year, and I'll see you guys in the next one. All right. So my view has not changed. I've stayed very consistent on my word. And once again, see you guys very soon. Thanks again, and peace out.